Hi, everyone. This is Christy Matthews, along with Amanda Ashton-Booth and our very special guest, Jade Rehder, the empath whisperer. So if you have just joined in with us, we've been having some technical difficulties, and we realized it was actually the provider of the service. So we apologize for that. Anyway, but we thank you for being here and being patient with us. And we're so excited to have Jade. I am so looking forward to what you're going to be sharing with us today. Oh my gosh. So without further ado, let's do a redo, huh?
Absolutely.
I'm getting slight deja vu here.
Exactly. Oh my Lord. So we'll go ahead. Hey, Amanda, do you mind putting a little note in the chat, let people know we're here, and come back on? I'm sure it's just going to be a slight delay to the Facebook page. And here we go. Here we go. We're getting, they're starting to show up here. Okay. Okay, all right. So, Jade, thank you again for being here. Really appreciate it. Take a breath, right? Yes. Okay. So, Jade, thank you so much again for being here. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came about to being the empath whisperer? That is very cool, and I think everybody here will be excited to hear about that. So take it away.
You bet. Thanks, Christy, Amanda, and everybody here for joining us. I was told that I was something. And when I was told that I was an empath, I didn't own it. I fought it a bit because it meant that my natural sensitivity had other things going on with it. So the reason I decided to be a whisperer, and I have people tell me that I don't whisper ever, yet, you know, I do my best to share it in ways that people can hear it. And an empath is someone who has extrasensory perception. I had this wonderful Irishman that I knew in my life. He called it his ESPN. It is his extrasensory perception network. And he just looked at me one day and he goes, "You got ESPN, girl." And I'm like, ESPN? I'm like, sports goes into my head. I was going to be a sports commentator. So I'm naturally really sensitive. I don't have the fibro symptoms. So I understand about being sensitive and what we do naturally as sensitive people. Yet I'm so in awe of people who can walk through life managing what people with fibro, the clients that I've worked with that have it, do. You guys are amazing to me. You need to be commended for having the natural sensitivity at a point where it has created all different things in your lives. I actually did some physical body, some research on fibro just to have a deeper understanding. And I'm like, wow, like what's the sensitivity that is in someone who has the fibro tag is something that is even more expanded than what I show when I look at an empath tag, if that makes sense. Or a hashtag. We can have hashtags, right?
Yeah, that's great. And we are very sensitive.
I like how you said at the beginning about you weren't owning it. You were kind of, that is such a common thing. I mean, the way Christy and I have, we're owning it now. Yeah. We're owning it, but we kind of fought the inevitable for so long, which was causing more trauma in the long run.
Yeah. I didn't want to believe that I had it. I didn't believe in it. And it took a long time before, I accepted it, that it's like, okay, it's real, And I was probably—
I think I'm still accepting.
What's that?
I think I'm still accepting.
Well, I fought it for many years before I was actually diagnosed, and because I just flat refused to believe that it existed, but here it is, and was a very long journey to get to this point to thriving with it. So,
and that's
yeah.
what I see you ladies doing. And there's a gal in my empath group just who joined about a week and a half ago, right after I spoke with you guys. She hopped in, and she has a diagnosis of fibro and lupus.
Oh, gee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And because it's been 25 years and they didn't know what was going on with her. And fibros, understand that from my perspective, that you are all naturally awakened into your empathic gift. And until we understand how to manage it, it can seem more like a issue or a challenge. But when you learn to manage it, you can get out of the misery. And then you actually get into management, and then you get into mastery, and then you get into magic, and then miracles. So I'm one that goes, hey guys, when we really can use this natural sensitivity to support us, it's amazing. Yet the pathway to managing it with the level that you're awakened into it as someone with fibro seems to be expanded, is the best word I can use, because of all the different challenges that can come with it. And this gal is like, as soon as she owned she was an empath, her pain levels dropped. She popped on yesterday with me, and she's like, Jade, my pain levels dropped by like 70% by just owning that I was naturally sensitive and that I was picking up more than myself and learning how to self-regulate. So protection, you hear about that. If you've ever been reading about an empath, people will talk to you about protection. Yet it's an interconnection. When we can interconnect within us, what happens is we aren't outer connecting as much. You still have the discernment, but you aren't a vacuum. That's how I see it. Is if we're unaware of it, we're out vacuuming up everything around us, the emotions, the pain, the chaos, the anxiety, the overwhelm. I mean, it can literally take you out, right? Like you're in bed, covered up, pillow on top of the head because the light's too much. And I've been through this. I mean, I've been through things where I'm affected, is what I call it. And I'm at the effect of the affect. And it's dramatic, and it can be really strong. Yeah. So go ahead, Christy.
No, it can be very strong. We have a comment here by Lynn. She was talking about that she has a diagnosis of fibro, rheumatoid arthritis, and lupus. And she's an empath and definitely struggling to own it because she struggles to own all of the symptoms of flare-up. So Lynn, thank you for sharing that with us. We really appreciate that. And that is part of the journey, is just accepting it and owning it. So, Jade, tell us why fibros are empathic. I mean, we missed how we use our energy. I know you just touched on that a little bit, but how are we missing out on using that energy of ours?
Well, when we're unaware that at a thinking level, at a logical level, that there's more than just that's us, right? We tend to own everything that we're feeling. Here's an example. A friend in Australia who lives in the middle of nowhere always when she can, lived above Brisbane. And Brisbane was hit by a flood a few years back.
Right.
And she was feeling the pain, anguish, overwhelm, and anxiety of everyone who lost their homes. I don't believe anyone perished, but people's businesses perished, and their homes were lost, and all their memories. And for 3 months, she was in such a funk. And finally, she picked up the phone and got a hold of me. And my first question to her was, "Is it yours?" And she's like, "Snarkies! For 90 days, I have been so in my crap. And all I needed to do was ask the question if it was mine." So this is what I'm talking about. We one of the things we often own as naturally sensitive beings is what isn't ours.
Yeah.
And when we're owning what isn't ours, what happens is we've got more going on. Like, is it Lynn? Yeah, it was Lynn you said. And, rheumatoid arthritis on top of lupus and fibro. Now, personally, I never got diagnosed with anything. But before I managed my empathic gift, I could have been easily diagnosed with chronic fatigue.
Okay.
Easy. No problem. If I told a doctor how I felt, anxiety, they would have been giving me lowers to get me to function during the day. And they would have been, and then they would have been, having to give me an upper I have family members and I adore my family members, but they manage their empathic gift and they're all blown out empaths with, they have uppers for during the day because they're picking up too much depression energy. And then they're taking downers to go to bed.
Yeah.
And, there's no judgment in that for me. Yet when they learn to manage their gift, all of a sudden they don't need those medications. The doctors, because they don't have the symptomology. Yeah. So what I'm saying, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, everyone, you absolutely can disagree. Everyone has the right for their own opinion, is that people with fibro are naturally very sensitive, very receptive. Empaths are very receptive. We are receptive and projective. Know that you are a receiver and a transmitter. And so when you're in a lot of pain and you're transmitting, other people who are receptive feel that pain. And when you're receiving, because we're doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was just speaking to an empath this morning about sleeping next to her husband who is terminally ill and how she's picking up all his anxiety. So we're going to go into when you sleep in a bed with another being or live in a house with another being, you're in overlap of energy fields. And this is a little wooey. Yet,
how about sleeping next to a snorer? That's what I've got to put up with just now.
Oh my! So then you're auditorily getting awakened too. And do you have extra sensitive hearing too?
Yeah, I get really agitated and I get a little bit of anxiety because I just want to pick up that pillow. I get the anxiety of holding back the pillow.
Jade, when you were talking about the flood that had happened in Brisbane,
mm-hmm.
and that took me back to the day that I woke up with fibromyalgia, or a full-blown fatigue that lasted for a couple of years. And it was from a traumatic event. Our office building burnt down and there was a lot of trauma, exciting. And you would think, oh, no big deal. But you know what? It displaced so many people from their jobs. They lost their jobs. It was a complete disaster. There was a media all over the place. I mean, you know what it's like in a Northern California town when something like that happens, it makes the news for 2 weeks. And we were all over the front page and stuff like that. And it hit me like a ton of bricks because I knew that I had resources to carry on, but my staff was coming up and saying, they're walking out with a little plant in their hand because somebody was able, that one office wasn't destroyed and that's all that came out of it was a little plant. And it was shown on the newspaper, this guy walking around with this little plant, and that was the only thing that survived. Everybody's equipment, everything, and I tell you, they hit me, and I owned everybody else's emotions. And that was huge. It just hit me in the stomach when you said that. It's like, wow, it's so true.
I know that I was doing very well before Christmas, if you remember, Christy. I was doing very well. My health was really well. It was running up to the year anniversary of my Nana passing, which was heartbreaking. It was getting closer to that time and I started dipping as it got closer to that time. And then after Christmas, it's been one disaster after another in the UK with attacks and things like that. And then there's the Grenfell Tower, the fire in the Grenfell Tower. And I know all of those things when I see them on the news. I get anxiety and I start freaking out, and I speak to Christy about it as well. When I see it, I'm like, it just, your heart breaks. So, you know, ever since all these things put together, I have dipped. I know that I have dipped.
So what your awareness of that, I mean, thank you for bringing that out, Jade, because it is so true when we just ask ourselves, who's that belong to? Does that belong to us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That is the simplest gift, is just to ask, whose is this? Because if it isn't yours, you literally are served so greatly by letting it flow through. Like, you're going to feel it, like Amanda's talking about. You're going to feel the energy when a tragedy happens, right? And Christy, absolutely. Yet, as someone who's naturally sensitive and empathic, we're like sea sponges. And you know how sea sponge isn't very big, but it holds so much water, emotion, and pain. And know that we can at least become a cello sponge. They don't hold near as much. And the best imagery I have is to become a beach ball. Is if you imagine, like, I'm a beach ball and I can be aware that there's water outside of me, yet it's not going to be inside me. It really helps when you have to go into a situation where you know it's going to be emotional, is to just be like, hi, can my energy field be a beach ball, please? Thank you. And you guys are, you know, our minds are powerful. The imagery that we create, we can change the way that we're affected and absorbing. What you both described, Christy with the tragedy of the business, and then all of the, you know, the focus on it, and Amanda, the passing of your grandma, and holidays. Because holidays are the toughest for any empathic person on the planet. Because we're feeling people who don't have missed loved ones, you know, people who have not the money to buy the gifts they want to. We feel the anxiety of getting everything done. I mean, honestly, between the Monday before Thanksgiving till the Friday after New Year's, in my personal life, I look at it, I'm like, I go, and if I don't get back up somehow, I stay there and I start stepping down the steps, because you guys both described activating the pain body. Now, the only one that really talks about the pain body is Eckhart Tolle, yet the pain body feeds on more pain. And when you're
that's such a spot on.
It's huge.
Phrase that really is just, it feeds on
more pain.
It's like there's a lot of people that are just there's a lot of families that are really full of drama, and when there's families full of like really drama driven families, they feed on more drama, they feed on more, and they feed on more, and you do tend to find that those kinds of families have more unhealthy members in them as well. So that
you see more dis-ease. More disease happens in those families. And I personally had a long-term marriage end. And since I help people changing their lives all the time, even part-time back then, I was just blown away on one level that I couldn't fix it, right? Nothing's ever broken, but I couldn't adjust it into a way that it worked. And that shock and trauma sent me, in shock and trauma, everybody, Amanda spoke about the loss of her grandmother, shock, trauma. Chrissy spoke about the loss of her business and the livelihood of herself and her employees. Again, shock and trauma. Shock and trauma, from an energetic point of view, is something that traps pain in us. And when we have trapped pain, we then, again, attract more trapped pain to feed itself. And I was doing it. I started in 1999 training to work with words and linguistics to learn how to create my own life. And 3.5, 4 years ago, I was speaking like someone who was clueless about the power of their word. And what happened is I was creating more pain, more and more and more. And in the spiritual world, we talk about that being the dark night of the soul. And that's cool, because you got to deal with the shadow. And we got to deal with what we've stuffed and stored. And that's where we have a lot of energy and emotion that is affecting every moment, because what we've stuffed down and stored. And we just think, okay, I'm not going to feel that right now. I'll deal with that later. And eventually it just gets stored in my physical body. It gets stored. Well, sometimes it gets stored all the way up to the top of my head. The highest weight I weighed was 270 pounds. And I'm 5'4", folks. That, I outweigh the linebackers in the NFL.
I'm 5'4" as well.
Yeah. It's a great height.
It's amazing height.
We seem bigger. People are like, aren't you like 5'9"? I'm like,
yeah, I get that a lot as well.
I think it might be our personalities, Amanda. Yeah. They see the personality showing up, and not really the height of person. No matter how tall you are, if you're stuffing and storing, it feeds that pain body, and then more painful experiences. And the way out is to number one, own it, like Christy has said. Because Christy, when we spoke, I talked about the codependent energy triangle. Right. And in that triangle, there is the victim, there's the rescuer, and then there's the persecutor. And what happens so often is we are rescuing so much, because I'm going to just own that fibros are because they're empaths, are out there helping everybody, helping everybody until your water bottle has a drop in it.
That's right.
You keep helping everybody.
Yep.
And you're like, but I'm helping. And then all of a sudden you get to the point where you're hurting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where your helping begins to hurt you more and more and more. And that same magical Irishman in my life, now I know Amanda's a beautiful Scot, and I got a little Welsh in my genes. I know. He just said to me once, Jade, if you don't fill your own cup, how in the world do you expect to fill everyone else's? Like, you need to fill your pitcher, sweetheart. Like, forget about the cup. Fill your pitcher. And you're filling your pitcher. And how do we fill our pitcher? Well, first, instead of rescuing people, we empower them. And that's what I'm so excited that Amanda and Christy are doing. They're empowering you fibros to know that it's okay to own your diagnoses, your label, your tag, whatever you want to call it, and to keep going. Right. And to allow yourself to find a way to still make things happen in this experience, just from where you are and what you can do. So if we're owning rescuing or owning playing victim, and there's no judgment on if you're in a victim place, because what happens, everybody, is we become the victim of our own helper. And then eventually some of us get to persecutor, and I've been there. Persecutors where you just don't understand how anyone doesn't understand how much you've given. Yeah.
I've been there.
I used to, I know that I used to, when I first started an online business, to a certain degree, I really fought to hide the fibromyalgia. When I spoke to people one-to-one, I would mention it, but as in my marketing and branding and stuff, I really hid it, because I thought, people will look at me and think I'm weak. If I say I've got fibromyalgia, how they'll think, oh, she can't manage to do this because she's got fibromyalgia. But do you know what, guys? I must tell you, the minute you start to use fibromyalgia and stop allowing fibromyalgia to use your body, you use it, use it. That's when you become empowered, and you're like, I'm in charge here. I'm taking control. I'm driving this car. This car's my body and I'm going to drive it. Seriously, guys. It's not weak. It's strong.
Big distinction. Big. Mm. So, Jade,
go ahead, Christy.
You mentioned about watching our words.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? I mean, I know it's much more in depth than just watching our words.
Well, if you actually are watching your words, you notice that they are creative forces. Our thoughts are creators, right? But our words have emotion behind them when we say them, and that's energy and motion, and it's stronger. Yeah. And when you're watching your words, you are noticing that your words become your world, right? So I think that's Michael Dooley. Yet your words do become your world. And I'm trying to remember the book it came out of, yet your words are your wand. They are creating the magic in your life.
Yeah.
So we have to acknowledge sometimes what we don't want that's happening. So when we watch our words, so if I'm saying, wow, it's going to be 105 today, and that's going to be miserable, right? I can say, yet I'm so grateful that we have less fires than we did last year and that our air is cleaner. You leave it with what you want. So if you have to acknowledge something that is in the not good spectrum, right? Or in the bad spectrum, then you say what you want instead. So one of the magic ways to work with your words is, number one, pay attention to them. And if you say something that's the opposite of what you choose, then say what you do choose. And this is a way to negate the energy of sending out the wrong message. So here's a simple example. One time, and this is how powerful our words are. One time I'm at a country bar in Colorado with a friend, and she says, I would like a black cherry Smirnoff Ice. Okay. It's a drink for the people who don't understand. And it's in a bottle. And this is how powerful we believe our words are. She's standing there drinking this, and I'm asking her, because I can see the label, how her black cherry is. And she says, oh my gosh, it's awesome. It smells so good. I can't believe how cherry it smells. And I go, could you turn the bottle and read it? And she turns the bottle, and it's sour green apple. Oh. She's telling me how the cherry smells. She's telling me how good the cherry tastes. And the bottle is sour green apple.
Oh.
And as soon as her awareness was it was sour green apple, she picks it, puts it back to her nose. She goes, now it smells like apples.
Oh, wow.
Now that is how powerful your words were. They create your reality.
Yes, indeed. Placebos. That's right, John.
Oh, John, you're so clever.
Yes, absolutely. And when we can use our own words as our placebo, can't we?
Yeah.
I choose to feel good today.
I had a call this morning actually with somebody and was trying to motivate her and help her forward. She'll know who it is if she's watching. But I says to go away and do something, and then and she says, I'll try. And I went, and she, and then I goes, no, what do you mean? And I goes, I can, I am, I will. And then you're going to come back to me and say, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to turn on the computer. You won't get it turned on, right? So
yeah.
I'm trying. Trying is one of the big words. Watch for away from words that are opposite of where you want to go or what you want to do. And but oh my goodness, but get your butt out of your way. Get your butt out. I got a plenty big butt. Like, get your butt out of your way. Because people will say, I'm doing really good, but, and then they'll give you the negative.
Yes.
And the but negates everything in front. Everything in front. I had to learn this so intently. It knocked me for a loop because someone said, blah, 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 but you're not worthy. Unworthiness is the big one that I had to overcome in this lifetime. Another
one to be aware of, because if you start training yourself to not use the but, you might be like me and I started using however. However. I can't use the but, so I'll use what it, however. Da, 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 da.
Yeah. I use and, Amanda.
Yes.
I can acknowledge what's in front and acknowledge what I want to experience. Yet is one I will use. However, I stay away from because it is another negation. But yet leaves it there, but tells you really don't want that to be there. And if I use the word but, I tell people, if you ever hear me but something, I'm negating it on purpose.
Yeah. I'll keep that one in mind.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny.
And is a good word to, like what you say. It's just saying, it is saying the obvious. It's saying what you want to say the negative,
and
maybe
adding something to it.
acknowledgement. Exactly.
Yeah. It's, I mean, in the linguistic world, it's called reframing. It was something I didn't know I could do. And it was a natural thing for me. Someone would tell me what was going wrong in their day. And I'd like, well, what's going right?
Yes.
And my cousin used to call me Pollyanna. Yet I knew something had to be going right. Oh,
right.
I wanted to share with you guys. So if you're ever spiraling down, and that's like Chicken Little what ifing, like, well, what if I can't get online in time? What if the technology's off? What if this? What if that? What if, right? So if you're what ifing down, the magic is to what if up. So what if it gets better? What if I get some support? What if I feel great tomorrow? What if I get an amazing night's sleep? What if someone does this so that I don't, like, what if the dishes are done when I go in the house? Woohoo! What if up? And when you're what ifing into possibility, opportunity, and expansion, what happens is you change the resonant field in your body. It just totally changes what you're feeling, experiencing, and attracting. So those kind of things are so huge. And it's simple. As you see yourself, playing Chicken Little, stop. Amanda, I did not print out a stop sign. I did think of it though. Stop.
Right.
Stop. Stop is like a magic phrase. You just stop your thoughts. Because
another thing,
so
when you are for our viewers here, another good tip, when you're speaking to people, do you find that a lot of people throw all their problems at you when you first initialize conversation? Because the reason probably is because you've asked them how they are. So maybe by changing it to what's good with you, because you're opening up the floodgates there by saying, how are you? Or that gives them the, okay, go ahead to give all their problems. Because when somebody asks you how you are, you immediately think of all the bad things that's going on. But if you say to them, what's good with you? You automatically think of something good. So what's good with you today? What's good about your day?
Yes, absolutely, Amanda. I have a guide in my world, and he tells, when he gets on the phone, he's like, tell me the good news. Well, then you tell him the good news, right? Like, what's good for you today? What amazing thing? And you don't have to take it too far, because maybe nothing really amazing, but what is good? Oh, you're breathing. The sun's shining. It came up. Woohoo! Like, you guys have done the gratitude journal. You're having a bad day. Thank you for breathing. Thank you for the sun rising. Thank you for my heart beating. Thank you for my lungs breathing. Thank you for darkness. I'm going to sleep
Gratitude.
Now. Yeah, gratitude, definitely. Wow.
Yeah, that's great, Amanda. I think that's that. And just so you Fibros know, empaths, naturally sensitive beings, get dumped on more than the average person. Because, because they'll listen, and then they'll support, and they'll understand, and they'll empathize, right?
Yeah.
So when you, like Amanda's saying, when you say, how are you? They don't go to, oh, this, 10 great things are happening. They tell you the 6 that are bringing them down, because those heavier energies are stronger in the physical plane.
Yeah.
The lighter energies are kind of up off the physical plane. And that's
huge. Wow.
Tell me the good news. And Amanda, tell me what's good about your day, right?
Exactly. I could tell you, even though I had the issues with the Ethernet cable and my internet, I came across my Nana's jewellery, which I thought I had lost, which I just want to add in, that is my FibroFog moment of the week. Actually, it's been about 2 months. I put this stuff in a box somewhere safe, and it was too safe for me to find. So, that's good. That's good. I have a big lift.
Amazing. That's great, Amanda. Glad to hear that. I know you were really upset about that too. So, Jade, I've been waiting to hear this. What are the magic 4 phases? I was going to say phrases, but the magic 4 phases. What are they?
Oh, it is phrases, sweet.
Oh, okay.
We have phases too. I mentioned the phases: misery to management, management to mastery, mastery to magic, magic to miracles. I added, there's 5 in there. But the 4 phrases that you're speaking of is a simplified ho'oponopono, which I know I just said that fast. Ho'oponopono. And Ho'oponopono. Yeah, exactly. So it's the Hawaiian forgiveness. It's a Hawaiian forgiveness path, or a Hawaiian forgiveness understanding. And it's to make things right, very right, is what the words mean. And self-identity I was started by a lady back in the 70s. And Dr. Joe Vitale is how a lot of people will connect into Ho'oponopono. Now, this is the simplified version. And he wrote a book with Dr. Len A. Haleakala. And
these words.
I know. Well, welcome to Hawaiian. I could keep going, but we'll try to do my best to keep it in English. So, Dr. Len and Joe co-wrote a book, Zero Limits. And in there, they talk about taking responsibility, like we've been talking about today, and how with taking responsibility, what happens is your life transforms because there's no one to blame.
Right.
And there's nothing outside of you that's creating what is happening in your life. You're in your center. You're in alignment. You're in connection. So the 4 magic phrases, and the reason I call them that is because my mother, who had them on her fridge in one of her homes, she goes California to Minnesota summer, California winter. And she calls me one day and she goes, honey, what are the 4 magic phrases? Because your dad's being a pain in my neck again. Because my mother would take my father's behavior, embody it, and create a pain in her neck or in her rump. Okay. And literally to the point where she was at the chiropractor for the pain in the rump. And I'm like, Mom, is Dad irritating you again with his choices? And she's like, yes. Yes. And she was embodying that frustration and that irritation. And so the 4 phrases are, and they can be in any order, and you're actually saying them to yourself because that's the easiest way to, you can always say them to another, especially out loud. But when you're saying them to yourself, what happens is you're transforming the energy in you that you're holding. And they're, I love you. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. So I love you.
Please forgive me.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'm sorry. And thank you.
Yep. Personally, I'd change it to I apologize. I'm stepping out of the sorry matrix because that is full of sorrow.
Right.
So you can adjust these a little bit, you guys. It's in Hawaiian. It's ualeva iovao kalamaiau. So it sounds very different. Yeah, I know. It's more vibrational, right? But they they brought it into an English format. So it could be I apologize. This is Self-Identity I's version of Ho'oponopono. And it's a simple way to change the energy in you. And I know people who have totally and completely transformed their lives by when something is affecting them and they're feeling off because of it. They just tell themselves, you say your name, like, I love you, Jade. Please forgive me, Jade. I apologize, Jade. Thank you, Jade. And if you put your name there, then your body mind that holds your inner child hears you telling you, the adult you, right? The boss in the house, telling you, instead of being critical, telling you that, it's okay. And when you can get to inner forgiveness, things transform so quickly because of the opportunity to be in your inner alignment into who and what you are at the core level, not beyond what the circumstances are in this moment.
Yeah. That's huge. Powerful. Gosh, you guys, what do you think? I mean, this is awesome, isn't it? You coined a term, clear. It's an emotion set. Can you tell us about that?
Well, clear is my healing technology to use your highest consciousness to transcend and release old imprints. And I used to work body-centered. I did that part-time for over 10 years, worked with clients body-centered, meaning that we were in their physical body and their emotional body releasing things. I used technology out of Hawaii at that time. What I did just last fall was upgrade where the energy we're transforming comes from. And clear is about using your highest consciousness that I direct to find the imprint. And when we're working on an imprint, we're working on so much more than just what's in the physical or emotional body. We're working physical patterning, emotional patterning, mental patterning, behavioral patterning, thought forms, negative emotions, limiting beliefs, limiting decisions, past triggers. I mean, it just keeps going, and the lineage and what your family brings into your field. I remember when I first figured out that my DNA held more than just the way I looked. I was 33 before I woke up to that.
Yeah.
My kids all have my, like 4 generations back, my grandfather's ear. And I'm like, if they have his ear, do they have his experience? Are they holding his emotion set that he brought with in the DNA? So that emotion set, we work on our mindset all the time. Clear works on your emotion set. And your emotion set is what you don't want to hold anymore, those imprints that are disconnecting, harmful, hurtful, sabotaging, or painful. And it also works on the good emotion side of it. So
I've got a skip load of them.
I know, sweetie. We all do.
You can have them if you want.
We'd rather transcend them. Yet after we've cleared, in a clear activation, we then heal. We ask your highest consciousness to heal whatever that imprint created as far as more misalignments, right? Like we're talking about with Ho'oponopono. And then we awaken. So this is the good mojo, everybody. So the pain body suppresses with its imprints of destructive imprints. It suppresses the good, yummy energy inside us. Because I know when you guys were kids, you remember feeling really good, joyful, and like everything was possible and all these great things. Yet I've personally noticed, and with my clients, that over the years, all of a sudden we're carrying all this baggage, this heavy stuff.
Personally, I was a depressed child.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah. It was a. There is obviously parts that were happy that I remember, but most of it was really just.
And Amanda, that's great that you brought it up, because see, that comes in the DNA, everybody, and in the environment. So we have societal imprints, we have familial imprints, we have personal imprints, right? Like, and all of that can be transcended. And what we do is we awaken what Source has told me to use the words, the divine energy inside you and your emotional birthright. I don't know if anybody else is talking about the emotional birthright. I hope so, because the emotional birthright is that the good ways of being and feeling that are like, we have the birthright to feel good in our body. And I know everybody with fibro is working on managing things so that they can feel good in their body again. And yet our emotion set, when we get feeling good in our emotions, it affects the way we feel in our body.
It does.
It really affects it so much. And when you awaken, like, your happiness is inside, your worthiness is inside, your deserving is inside. All these things are an inside job. I remember when I owned happiness was an inside job. No one or nothing could make me happy. I could experience some joy with something, like short-lived joy, but it wasn't something that I could, like, joy again is an inside job. It's something that I have to choose and own and then make the decisions so that I'm in that. So like, my morning mantra is, I feel good today. And some days that feeling good looks really different than other days, but I feel the best I can that day. Yeah. And with clear, when we awaken the divine energies inside, it is one of the biggest joys in my life. And my mission is to support more people living in joy. That, because love is beautiful and love is an aspect of it. Joy is beyond it. And joy doesn't seem to have anything connected to it other than joy. And I love that. Joy
for me is smiling from the inside out and just being happy for the sake of being happy. That's so right. When you're just sitting there and you let off this goofiest little smile, that's true joy.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Amanda. That's beautiful. Smile
And
from inside. Yeah.
and some people will just ask, "What's up with you?" You know, because we have so many people who just are not, happy. And when they see you just sitting there with a big beaming smile on your face, they go, "Well, what's going on with you?" Just, hey, just life, it's great. Good to be here. Good to be alive. Good to feel.
I'm sure some people look at me like I've got horns growing out of my head sometimes. In fact, my boss at the community centre says thinks I'm a hippie. And I'm like, I'll have that.
Yeah.
I'll have that.
Yeah.
I'm a hippie.
Because you're having a good time and you're happy.
Because I'm just, okay. I'm going in to do a cover shift, and I'm smiling and I'm happy, and I'm like, I've just left the pool and had a sauna and I feel great. And they're like, and then I say I did a little bit of breathing meditation in the sauna, and they're like, you're such a hippie.
So we have a testimonial. Tamara's saying that Clear is life changing. It's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Tamara.
Thanks for hopping on, Tamara.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, my daughter had said that she could easily be a hippie. She loves that, she, the free flowing clothes, and she just loves to dance, and yeah.
Oh, you mean like
I was
these?
born in the wrong era. Yep, you betcha. You bet.
I believe everyone should wear what makes them feel good.
That's right.
And it doesn't really, if they feel good in a suit, great. If they feel good in tie-dye, I have quite a bit.
My favourite top is the one that I keep getting the odd bit of sunburn when it does go sunny in Scotland is the don't hate, meditate. I love that one. I absolutely love that top.
Well, what an awesome top. Look at how linguistically it's right on.
Don't hate, meditate.
Don't hate, meditate.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, overconnection we didn't talk about yet, Christy, really. We talked about it a little bit.
Right.
But overconnection as an empathic person and as an empathic fibro person is something that until we have, and Clear has been the most impactful way I've found to stop that overconnection. And we're always going to be connected to everyone in our family and those that we know. Yet the picture that I've gotten is that instead of having a little tiny cable, right, connecting to people energetically, we have these like great big transatlantic cables that I can't even make my arms big enough because they're like miles, right? So we have these huge cables connecting between ourselves and other people. And with that, what happens is we're just like continually allowing their energy into our field. And a lot of times, you guys, this is the group of humanity, the collective consciousness. And that's why when something happens in England, I feel it.
Sure.
Like when big disasters happen, I'm feeling the shock and trauma from that group of people. I remember that tsunami that was I was just like, or earthquakes, like earthquakes happen. And I'm like, it was an earthquake. And then I look and there's no earthquake here, but I'm feeling the earthquake physically in my body. It's like someone goes on my root chakra. Like I literally feel it in my physicality, and people are like, what? And I'm like, or big earthquake somewhere. And I'll Google, and within 20 minutes, I know where that earthquake was. Yeah. So when we're really connected into all that is, and even just if you think about just being overconnected into your family.
Why do we do that? Why do we do that? Why do we? Because when I hear something that's dramatic, I automatically go search. Automatically go put the news on you want to watch. And at the same time, you're like, all you're doing is causing yourself more anxiety. You're sitting here and it was like the fire, the Grenfell Tower fire. And you were watching this building burning on the news, and it was on live. And it was like, oh my God, but you see all that. I'm watching all of this happening now. And there's a lot more, I know that there's a lot more people that are affected because everything's live. Everything's covered live. Everybody sees this stuff happening live. So it's not like somebody heard on a phone call anymore of, you know, this happened, and you know, this was heartbreaking. You know, it doesn't affect you as much. But when you've got breaking news comes up on a TV, everything stops. And you're watching it. More people are seeing these things happening.
So we've got the good and the negativity. Yeah, we've got, well, it does. Negative emotions are really receptive.
Yes.
I'm always like, why can't we like all get high on joy? Like, I'm so confused at why we don't all tap into, like, I'm over here in joy. Why can't we all tap into that? But if I'm in drama, they can tap into the drama so fast. And Amanda, you know, like the way we can get information out into the world, you're in Scotland, Christy's in California, I'm in Oregon. And we have people all over the place. I know Tamara's in Florida. So, you know, we have all these people all over the place. And when we can get things that are supportive out there, like you guys are doing, we're making an effect. Yet when we're seeing that, we're getting pulled into the drama. My phrase is, and not for tragedies like this, but in everyday life, like say your coworker has something going on, right? It's their circus, their monkey. Use the word their. It puts it outside you. Seriously, not mine means yours, but their circus, their monkey. With the drama, 9/11 is the one I remember.
I like that. Their circus, their monkey.
Their circus, their monkey. Like people have made glyphs to change it to their circus. Because on One More Word Watch, if you say not mine, the body mind has no ability to process that negative. It's just like, whatever you guys do, don't think of Cinderella. Don't think of Cinderella. No, don't think of Cinderella. We all have the picture of Cinderella. So can't take the negations out. Say it the way you want it. So their circus, their monkeys. It's over there.
You know, when I heard Cinderella, I just thought of a really pretty blue gown.
Yeah, that blue gown that she wears. Yeah, I saw the blue gown in the
blue gown with the sparkles around it.
Yeah. So that's another word watch piece. Watch the negations, because they bring you the opposite of what you choose. If you're choosing with a negation. So negative emotions are magnetic. All emotions are magnetic, but negative emotions are stronger, and they're magnetic, and that's why you'll see the pity parties happen, right?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, and then they just start spiraling down, and it's like, no, stop.
Yeah, no pity party zone.
I used to pity party a lot. I did growing up and stuff, and I was on antidepressants and stuff, and I was pity partying all the time. And you know, I'm so more aware when I'm taking a dip. And I'm no longer on antidepressants. I was on them for about 17 years, from pretty much my mid-teens. So now I know, being aware of the triggers and being aware when you're about to take a dip, and then doing something to cancel it out, to cheer yourself up, you know.
I love your word dip, Amanda. It's a nice way to say, that you're taking a dip. Like I choose to dip in something else. Like I'm going to go in the pool instead of that dip into the yuck. Right. So that's awesome. That's awesome. And the awareness and triggers, like just what you ladies are doing out here, talking to people about the awareness. Awareness is 40%. I sat with this and energy gauged it. Awareness of something is 40% of loosening it up. You can get coached through it to about 60 to 70%. And then some modalities of transformation will get it at about 80. And then clear seems to get it, depending upon how many times you have to do something to know that it's right or complete, can get it at close to 100. Because we're working outside the mind construct, outside the ego's field, and outside of karma. And to some of you, that doesn't make a lot of sense, but we're outside the matrix of energy that's trying to hold it in. That's the best way to put it.
So ego stops a lot of people stepping forward and doing stuff. That is huge.
My latest definition of ego is edging glory out. So it's edging your own glory out.
That. I'm writing that one down.
Edging glory out. Yeah, Marianne Williamson poem. Go ahead.
I'm having a Mrs. Doubtfire moment where, when she comes up at the end of the show and she says, okay, everybody, it's time for us to go. Until the next time. Bye-bye. And we're kind of coming up towards the end of our show time. So this has been great. And Jade, I want to say thank you so much for being here. But we have a very special thing because we know Jade has so much information to provide and there's so much more to go into that she's agreed to do a continuation webinar tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And she's going to go deep into, you called it a fresh webinar, is that right?
Oh, I said fresh because I was going to do one that's just for this specific.
Got it. I understand. So would that be the 5 steps to gain freedom over the connection?
Yeah.
Yes. And what was that?
Freedom from being overconnected. So from the overconnection, like this, there are some awareness steps to have on where we're creating overconnection. There's some strategies, some practical, real world, step-by-step things that we can do. And then we'll actually end it with going through one of my clear healing activations to transcend the overconnection. Yeah.
That's really cool. That's so cool.
So we're going to have that tomorrow morning here at the Fibromyalgia Empowerment page. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and register at the events section on the page that you're on right now, the FibroPreneurs page. And there's a link there for you to go ahead and register. And if that doesn't work for you guys, just let us know that you want to get in the comments, and we will make sure that we get you into the group so that you can be on with the live broadcast tomorrow. That will be at 9 a.m. Pacific. That is 5 p.m. GMT time. And we have another time zone that we put in there was for the for Africa. Was that correct? I believe that we have that in there. It's up on the events section of the page. So just go ahead and take a look there so that you get the times right for your time zone. And this is going to be power packed. So some of the things that Jade was going to talk about is where to pay attention, right? Yep. Discover quick and easy ways to shift your energy, shift your connection point.
Yep.
Expand your knowledge of what's affecting your emotion set. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm reading her notes here. Create new strategies to support your boundaries and freedom. Yep. And then experience a clear activation to release over connection. So you're bringing it all together and helping us release.
Yes.
Freaking amazing. And just want to thank you so much for being here. Everybody, please, hope we can see you here tomorrow and have more time with Jade. And thank you so much for coming into our community and sharing your wisdom. I know that this was very helpful to me personally. So I would imagine it's helpful to you as well. So thank you.
Because I just, for any of our viewers, if any of you have found any value so far in our shows, we would like it very much if you could maybe leave us a little review. That would be much appreciated. A little review. 5 stars if you think we're 5 stars.
Yes.
That would be really cool if you could do that, guys.
Okay.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
It was serendipitous that I showed up to find you ladies. And this is a group of people that I have been encouraged to support and to bring to awareness things that could really help them have an easier path in managing experience. You bet.
Mrs. Doubtfire, until the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Bye-bye.